So today we're going to do a little demonstration on how to make pour over coffee, and this one happens to be with a Chemex. That's this, like, I don't know, science class experiment, really cool looking thing. Okay, this is a Chemex. It comes in, this is I believe an 8 cup or 6 cup. There's a, I also have a smaller one, so if you just wanted to make one. And these were, if you want to research it or whatever, I think they were made by a German chemist. That was quite a while ago. And we're going to start the whole process. I've already boiled the water up here. And down here, this is why you need the scale, I've measured out 25 grams of coffee beans. Next I'm going to put them in our grinder. And I've set the grinder for a medium, which on this Encore is about 20. Okay, so our coffee is ground, and it's a, I don't think you'll be able to see it, it's too dark, but this is medium. It's more like a sand, not an espresso, and not so chunky like you'd use in a French press. So that's done. And remember, when you grind coffee, you've got, believe it or not, like 15 minutes before the coffee starts to lose its aromas and all that. So when you buy pre-ground coffee from the grocery store or that kind of thing, I mean, if you have no way to grind it, well, that's better than nothing. But this is the best because grind it, use it in 15 minutes. If you don't, it just automatically starts to lose its, and I mean, this is Rwanda. So the next part, this is a paper filter for a Chemex. Okay, there's different ones, but this is the basic one. So it's basically a circle folded in 4. And what you're going to do is you take one side here, and now there's 3 on the other. You take the 3 side and put it towards the spout over here. You'll see there's a little channel spout in here. Now I've already done the water, so with pretty much any of these methods, and I've let the water cool off a little because I don't want it to be a boiling water. I want it to be, for me, 200 or less. But what I'm going to do now is pour water over the filter, and that will get anything out of the paper. I'm just going to, basically it warms up the glass too. And then I'm going to dump that out in the sink. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my scale, which is right here. And because like any recipe, you've got to have the right proportions. So the coffee here was 25 grams. So what I'm going to do is put the coffee into here. And I'm going to just switch this and raise the camera a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. But I'm going to take this now and tar it down to 0. Okay, this should give you a little better view. So here's your coffee, your filter, your scale, which now says 0. What I'm going to do is, generally, and you know where your finger's been, you could use a spoon or something like that, but make a little divot, little hole in the center. Now I'm going to turn the timer on just when I start pouring. And I'm going to pour slowly and bring it up to about 50, 60, and you'll see, or you should be able to see, it's starting to bloom. You'll see some bubbles. It'll grow like a mushroom. And we're going to leave that for 30 to 45 seconds. You'll generally be able to see that it's done doing its blooming. And what that's doing is it's getting rid of the CO2 that's left in the coffee, and it's also starting to create the aromas and taste as you start the coffee brew. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the middle, and I'm going to work my way around and around like that. And meanwhile I'm watching my scale, and I'm going to put in roughly another 100. So you do this in like 3 or 4 pours. You can sort of hear it's doing that, and as it goes down, again I add to it just and now I'm at what I want, so I can shut that off, put my water back here. Just pull this aside till it finishes. And one of the ways with a pour over that you should know your grind size is right is it should take no more than 2.5 to 3 minutes to do the whole, make that cup of coffee. If it takes longer than that, the grind's too small and you need to change that because it's going through too slowly. If it goes through, like say in a minute or a minute and a half, the grind's too thick and the water's passing through too quickly. So again, you need to change it. But as long as you're in that 2.5 to 3.5 minute range, you're good to go. Which is one of those things that people say, oh, I don't have the time to make a pour over or that kind of thing. That's not true. It's only going to take you got to grind the coffee anyway. You do need a scale and this, but it's only a few minutes process. It's going to be a little longer, of course, if you're making the whole 6 cups, but it's no longer than it would be in a good drip coffee pot. So we're going to now let it sit. And take that. We'll just take that, and that's all that's left. That in the sink. And that's how you make pour over coffee with a Chemex.